You're not going to like this, but the truth is that most guys are looking for the perfect girl to simply fall into their lap. The worst part is that probably includes you. Dude, that only happens in the movies. If you are looking for her, then you have to stop sitting around and start hunting. Whoa! Whoa, relax. Okay, put away the spear. These are not caveman times. Jeez. You guys might need more help than I thought. Let me show you a tier list of the best and worst places to meet high-quality feminine women in 2025. That way, you can stop wasting time and finally find her. Let's jump in. Hey, my name's Josue. I am a relationship coach and the head over at Love Decoded, which is a school community focused on helping shy young men to be able to start dating high-quality feminine women in 90 days or less. If you are a shy young guy who is struggling to get dates and you want that to change, then I highly recommend going down to the link in the description, which will bring you to my free school community. I'd love to connect with you and help you. If you go to the school community, you can send me a message and we can sign you up for a absolutely free consultation call where I can kind of hear where you're at and see if I can help. So if that's something that interests you, like I said, go down to the link in the description and jump into the community. So to start us off, we are going with the beach. Now, the beach is a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to approaching women. And the reason for that is that while there are pros, for example, you don't have to wear that much. And so if you've been working on your body, looking good, things like that, then you can definitely show that off. And there's also some opportunities to approach people. Let's say there are people who are playing a game of volleyball. Then you could approach and say, hey, can I join you guys? And it's not that strange of a thing for that to happen. And so you could very easily get into that, though that does take a pretty high level of social confidence and skill to just kind of get yourself out of your own shell to do that. When it comes to the cons, there is the fact that there is really no filter. Meaning, and we're going to be touching on this concept a bunch throughout this video, meaning that just because someone goes to the beach doesn't really give us a whole lot of information about them going in, which will allow us to determine, do we really even want to go on a date with this person? Really, all that we know is that they look good. And when it comes to hookup culture and things like that, if that's your goal, then maybe the beach is a great place for this. But here on this channel, we are focused on helping you find someone so that you can have a healthy, long-lasting relationship. And for that reason, the beach just doesn't work very well. So because of that, we are putting the beach in C tier. Next up is the bookstore, and this should surprise no one, but this is actually one of my favorite ones on this list. And I say it shouldn't surprise you because I've got all these books behind me. I love reading, and so I may be biased, and so that this is presenting it like it's better than it is. Who knows? But I really like the bookstore for this because not everybody reads books. And so if someone is going to a bookstore looking to buy books, then this means that they very much care about developing themselves. They care about a good story. They're expanding their vocabulary. They're probably going to be someone who communicates more precisely than someone who does not frequent the bookstore. And so for all these reasons, we have good filtration. On top of that, we also have the benefit of getting a little bit more knowledge about her when you spot her because of the section that she's in. If she's in the nature section or history or romance or whatever it may be, we can start to get an understanding of what she's interested in, who she is, and that makes approaching easier because you kind of have an in. So also, if you've read a book that she's looking at, then you could say, oh, I've read that one. It's really good. I'll highly recommend it. Or look, I would suggest, I know I'm a stranger, but I highly recommend not reading that one. I just wasn't a fan. And you can start a conversation. And even if she likes the author, whatever it may be. You don't necessarily have to agree at the beginning. You can playfully disagree. You can seriously disagree and discuss your thoughts, whatever it may be. There are just a lot of opportunities for starting up discussions. So, like I said, I really like the bookstore, and that's why we are putting it in S tier. Next up is church. And this I see as very much like an anti the beach. Meaning, in one place you dress very immodestly, and that's totally chill. Whereas in church, there's generally kind of the understanding that you dress modestly. It's more of a quiet thing. And what's great about church is that it is a very highly filtered location. Just like the bookstore, not a whole lot of people go to church when it comes to the grand scheme of just kind of like people that there are. And also, you get a sense of who this person is and what their values are because of the fact that they go to church. They care about the deeper things in life, and if you also share these beliefs, then going to church is a really good way of finding women who you're interested in. However, there are some drawbacks that keep this from being a perfect pick, which is the fact that, for example, church can very much not be a very social thing. Yes, you're surrounded by other people, but for the most part during the service, you are focused not on each other and building camaraderie and relationships, meeting new people. It's mainly focused towards the front during the singing, during the sermon, whatever it may be. And sure, you may get some social interactions. Let's say if there's a shared meal afterwards, or if they're, let's say, in the foyer beforehand, after, but it's not a socially rich environment, which is what keeps this from being an S tier pick, and instead we are putting it in A tier. Next up are conferences. So this can be workshops, talks given at colleges, whatever it may be, just kind of like self-improvement events. And these are really good because this focuses on kind of selecting for high quality people who are maybe not at their peak, but they recognize that they aren't, and they are working towards that. They believe that things can be better, and they want to be better, and so they are bettering themselves. And what's great about this is it's completely different from your information Andes who spend all their time on YouTube learning about things but not necessarily applying things. Instead, these people are putting their money where their mouth is, because oftentimes these things are paid, and even if it's free, they're carving time out of their day and choosing to spend time here instead of the many other things that they could be doing. And so this is a really good place for kind of filtering and finding high quality people. There is a caveat with this one, and that is that you may run into a greater number of sort of kind of the girl boss, more masculine type of women. And if you've watched my previous two videos where I talk about masculinity and things like that, I think it's totally fine for there to be women who are developing their masculine side, and even women who are more predominantly masculine than feminine. But this channel is aimed at helping masculine men to find and date and have success in dating feminine women. And so we have to keep that in mind, that yes, we're going to find some feminine women, but we also will have a tendency of finding masculine women at conferences. And for that reason, we are putting that in A tier. Now, something that I'm realizing I should have said earlier is that you should not be going to any of these locations with the sole goal of meeting and approaching women. Women are generally sensitive to these sorts of things, and they will oftentimes see through the fact that all you're there to do is talk to women. And that is a very unattractive thing if these women are here to do other things. If you go to a bookstore and you don't read, if you go to a conference and you're not really paying attention to what is being talked about, then eventually this is going to be sniffed out and it's not going to be good. So yes, there are going to be ones that are at S tier, but if those don't genuinely interest you, then they're not going to be S tier for you. Next up is a cooking class, and this is a great option because of the fact that it is a great place to meet feminine women. Cooking is a very feminine skill, and the reason is because femininity is so tied into creating an environment where love can spread and grow and be shared between people. And what better way of sharing love between a group of friends or through the family than by sharing a meal together? And so when someone cares a lot about making sure that that meal is a good one so that there can be the greatest experience possible, then that is exercising a very feminine side, which is good for both men and women. And so if you were looking for a very feminine woman, then this is a great place. Additionally, the ratio is very much in the favor of young men looking for feminine women because cooking classes are going to have way more women than men on average, meaning that there are a lot more women to choose from, which is pretty cool. Lastly, by you being one of the few men there, you are showing to these women that you're not going, yeah, no, I just expect you to cook for me, and I'm some lazy bachelor who doesn't know how to do anything. Instead, you're saying, hey, even though I'm a guy, I value eating delicious, healthy food, and I want to know how to make that too. You are going to be showing her, hey, maybe I could cook for you sometime. And this can be a very attractive thing for women, because even if you really like doing something for someone else, when that kind of gets taken for granted and people go like, yeah, you're a woman, so obviously you cook, that is not taken very well. And so if instead it is something that is appreciated and sometimes reciprocated, then that's great. And if it can be reciprocated and the food can be delicious, even better. So for all these reasons, I am placing the cooking class in S tier, right next to the bookstore. Next up is dating apps, and I think that these are a terrible way of starting relationships. And there are multiple reasons why. One is the fact that women care a lot more about their appearance, and because they care about it, they are generally better at dolling themselves up, especially for pictures, than guys are. When a guy takes a photo of himself, he hasn't done any of the numerous things that women do. When it comes to angles, when it comes to lighting, dressing, whatever it may be, there is just such a difference between the quality of picture that the average woman can take compared to the average man. And because when you're swiping on a dating app, the first thing you see is someone's picture, then you are not getting the chance that you maybe deserve because of the fact that you simply just can't take a good photo. This is so important because of the short amount of time that women spend on each guy's profile. If they see a photo they don't like, especially, and I've heard this recently, especially a photo like kind of the famous one of a guy holding a fish, they're kind of over it very quickly. And so they're not going to be listening to your audio prompts or reading your prompts or any of those things. They're seeing a couple of photos and they're moving on. And that actually leads to our next point of why dating apps are such a bad option. And that is that unlike the cooking class, the ratio is completely flipped. I don't care what dating app you are thinking of joining, there are way more guys on these apps than there are girls, meaning that women have their absolute pick of the litter. They're inundated, they're drowning in options, meaning that there's no real consequence to swiping no on someone because there's always going to be another guy waiting around the corner. This means that she's going to take your profile even less seriously, and again, you are not really going to have a chance to make an impression. On top of that, even if she does connect with you, you then need to go through the hurdles of not having had an in-person interaction, only having a few badly done photos and not very thought out prompts on your account, and then follow that up with a stellar opening message that doesn't sound like the other guys. You are fighting uphill the entire time. Are there successes when it comes to dating apps? Yes, there are successes when it comes to any of these that I'm going to put here, even all of the options on F tier. But we are trying to get you the best odds possible, and you're just not going to get that with dating apps, which is why I'm putting it at C tier. So next up is the dog park. And this is a really situational one because it really only works if you have a dog. And I don't recommend anyone getting a dog only so that they can then meet women. But for anyone who does have a dog, or anyone who is planning on getting a dog anyway, you may be surprised that this is actually going to help you quite a bit. Here's why. Something that isn't surprising to anyone is the fact that many women want to have children. But what may surprise you is the fact that many women have this question bobbling around in their minds, which is this the guy who I want to have kids with? One of the ways that women answer this question is by checking to see if the guy can keep something alive. This could be something as simple as a plant, or maybe even a child that they already have, or a fur baby, like, for example, a dog. Now, what's great about dogs in particular is that people tend to walk them, meaning it's not weird to be out and about with your dog. You can walk around with your dog and you're showing women that, hey, I can keep this thing happy, healthy, alive, things like that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, all of those things. So if you have a dog, you are already signaling these things to the people around you. And dog parks are great because they're places where people who also like and have dogs congregate. And this is a great place for starting up conversations because your dog might be doing something silly, their dog might be doing something silly. You can learn about the story of how they got their dog, whatever it may be. There are quite a few surefire ways of starting a conversation that can eventually turn into more. So while there are a lot of benefits to having dogs and going to the dog park, because of how situational it is, I cannot put it at any rank higher than B tier. Next up is the farmer's market, and not only is this a good place to find a woman who is feminine, but also to find someone who supports their local farms and also cares about their health. One drawback is that while there are quite a few people at these farmers markets and therefore starting a conversation would not necessarily be strange unless you have a really good pickup line that has to do with, say, zucchini, it may be difficult to use your environment as a way of starting a conversation, which means that it may require a little bit more skill. Despite this, because it is such a good location for filtering for feminine women who care about their health, then we are still going to be putting this one in S tier. Next up is the gym. Now, if I was making this video a few years back, I would have ranked the gym higher than I am today. However, given recent events such as the rise in people filming themselves in gyms and then the subsequent accusations of people looking at them and it kind of just turning into this whole mess, the gym has now turned even more into a place where people are trying to get in there, get their workout in, have their headphones on, not really talk to people, and get out. Meaning that this is not a great place for meeting people like it once was. And so for that reason, we are actually bringing it to F tier. I highly recommend that you do not approach people at the gym. If you were disappointed about that last one because you really do want to have a way of finding other people who are physically fit and who care very much about that, then we've got a great alternative for you, and that is a hiking club. This is great because there's kind of this expectation, because you're part of a club, that there's going to be conversations. You're not going there to throw in your headphones and be there alone. You're there to talk to people. You're there to be in nature and to enjoy the serenity of that all. And so if you were to strike up a conversation with someone who you thought was particularly good looking or funny or whatever it may be, it wouldn't be that strange. Conversations are starting and ending all the time. The one slight caveat that I would give to this is you do need to have a certain baseline of sort of physical prowess, simply because if you are huffing and puffing your way through the entire trail, that's not necessarily the most attractive thing, and it's just hard to keep up a conversation with someone when that's what they're doing. So But assuming that that's good, this is a great alternative. Now, while this does filter for people who care about their health, it really doesn't do anything when it comes to helping us find specifically feminine women, which is why I am putting this at the B tier. Next up are nightclubs, and if this was a tier list on where to meet women for the sake of hookup culture, then nightclubs would be very high on the list. But when it comes to trying to start a long-lasting healthy relationship, this is not a great place. You're not able to know all that much about the woman who you're speaking with. You're really not even able to speak with them. This is very similar to the beach, I would say, in these regards, in that like people are dressed up real nice. You know if they look good, but you really don't know pretty much anything else about them, which is why nightclubs are going in the C tier. Do I really have to explain this one? Like, I mean, trying to find high quality feminine women here, guys. This is not it. This will never be it. No. We're just skipping this. This is obviously going to F tier. So next up is the paint and sip. For those who don't know, a paint and sip is really like an adult painting class, mainly because of the fact that there is alcohol served. This is a great place because of the fact that, like the cooking class, the ratio is very much in your favor because there are going to be way more women there than men. In fact, generally when women go to paint and sips, they don't tend to go alone, they go in groups. And this presents a little bit of a challenge because if you want to approach a woman, then it may be the case that you're approaching a whole group. And I generally don't suggest asking out a woman amongst a lot of people. Based on my experience and also speaking to women, generally that is not seen as a great thing, but you may be able to start a conversation, you may be able to spark something, so it could be good. What I recommend is that if you're planning on going here, since this usually is something that people will go to in groups, I would suggest bringing a friend along who is also interested in exploring their creative side, because remember, we're not doing this only to meet women, but to do something that we like and also have the chance to meet women. So find someone else who's interested in painting, go with them, and then try to have some social interactions with whoever catches your eye. Because this is a great place to find feminine women, and because of the ratio, then we are placing this high, but we're not placing this in S tier because of the caveat that I just mentioned, of it being a little bit more difficult to sort of single a person out, have conversations with them, maybe even ask them out in that event. It can be more difficult, so we're placing this one in A tier. Next up is the parking lot. I'm just going to be really frank with you guys. This is an awful place to approach women. And this is more of a jokey one, but this gives me the opportunity to tell you guys about something that I have had to tell so many guys about. And that is that women care a lot more about their safety and are more sensitive to just wondering more than we are. Is this a safe place? Is this not? Whatever it may be. I actually had a female client and we were talking about an experience that she had where I think she had like dropped her keys or something like that, and a guy, actually no, it was that she was trying to get into her apartment. She was carrying all these groceries, she had dropped a bunch of them, and as she's picking them up, a scary looking dude, or at least scary sounding dude, said like, "Hey, can I help you with that?" And it was dark and they were in a parking lot, and this client was scared out of her mind because of the fact that parking lots are already a decently scary place for women. And if you're a guy, then you're probably going, what? Though if you're a girl, you go, yeah, no, that's totally true. And the reason is because if I were to want to kidnap someone and my car is right there, it's not all that hard to throw someone in the trunk. So, as a guy, we don't really think about that. But for girls, they do. And so if you are in a parking lot, if you're walking your car, walking out of your car, whatever it may be, I do not recommend approaching a woman. If you see someone who you go, wow, she's really pretty, skip it. It's not worth it. Maybe she'll go back inside, whatever it may be. Do not do it. Don't do it. Do not approach women in a parking lot. And because of that, obviously, this is going into F tier. Next up is social media. This pretty much has all of the points that I was making with dating apps, where you are not going to be nearly as good at taking pictures as she is. There are going to be all sorts of guys who are flocking towards the same women. They're going to have way too many choices, to the point where you are not going to be able to stand out. Social media simply just is not the place, and therefore we are going to be putting it with dating apps right there in C tier. Next is a theater group. I have extensive experience in theater, and so I'm really excited to talk about this one. Theater groups are very much a mixed bag. They are a really good way of kind of releasing your inhibitions, doing like some crazy stuff, getting comfortable around people. If you have any sort of charisma, if you have any sort of confidence, you really get to let this shine. And if you don't, this is actually a great place to develop these skills. So it's a really cool place, whether you're planning on meeting women there or not, whether you really have interest in theater or not. If you're willing to get out of your comfort zone and try something new, this is a great place to go. However, there is a drawback, and that is that, like I said, I have a lot of experience with this. There are many people who participate in theater because they are trying to escape their own lives, unfortunately. They will pretend to be other people, and it's kind of to give them a mental break from having to deal with whatever it is that they are dealing with. To put it nicely, they are working through things that they should probably figure out and fix before you really try to step into their lives and start a relationship. Now, this is by no means all, and so I, for the reasons I mentioned before, highly recommend getting involved in a theater group, connecting with people. It's a great time, even if it's just for the sake of making friends, but I would just be cautious about that. And I don't know, prove me wrong, participate in this thing and maybe you can have a better experience than I have, let's call it. So, because of that sort of mixed bag nature of the theater group, we are going to be putting it in B tier. Next up is the park, and I think that this is a great place for approaching people. I'm going to focus on the one main drawback that comes to mind when it comes to approaching women in the park, and that is that you can pretty much only do it when there are a lot of people there. Otherwise, if there is a woman walking on her own in the park and there's not that many people, then this can very easily turn into sort of a parking lot situation where women have their headphones in, or they just don't want to be approached. They're kind of doing their own thing, and they already have their guard up, worried about what's going to happen, who may approach them, whatever it may be. Whereas if there are a lot of people around, it's a highly populated day at the park, really nice weather, people are flying their kites, they're spending time with their dog, whatever it may be, then women are going to feel a lot more comfortable. They're going to have their guards down in a good way, and you can approach them without having to worry about that stuff. And so it's kind of situational in that it is dependent on the weather, on the time of day, on things like that. But if the circumstances are right, then this is a great place to approach, simply because there are just so many people at these parks. And so it can be very easy to have a stroll around, do some other activities, and if you spot someone who you're interested in, boom, let's start a conversation. No big deal. Because of the conditional nature of the park, as much as I would love to put it higher, the highest I can go with this one is A tier. Next up is Vegas, and I don't only mean Las Vegas. This applies really to most vacation spots, to cruises, things like that. These are not good places for starting relationships. Yes, there are many fun things to do. Yes, it may be very easy to start conversations with strangers, but part of the reason that it is as easy as it is because there really are very little consequences, meaning that like, hey, yeah, we're gonna like start up something and then we're never gonna see each other again, which makes this a lot better, like similar to say nightclubs as a hookup spot, or a place to find people who are interested in hookup culture. But if you're interested in starting a serious long-term relationship, then I would not be going on vacation, going to Vegas, going to casinos, whatever it may be, for the sake of that. Because of this, unsurprisingly, it is going into F tier. Next up is volunteering, and I'll just tell you right now, this one is a great one. It is going all the way in S tier because of the fact that it is such a great way of finding selfless people, which I think is one of the biggest things that is necessary for a long-lasting, healthy relationship. The people who are volunteering aren't necessarily doing it for the sake of meeting other people and things like that, and yet I do think that it is a great place. Not only do you get to find that selflessness in her, but you get to show that selflessness to her, and so volunteering can be a great place. Next on our list is yoga, and you may have the temptation to click off of this video right now because you know where it's going to go, but I actually am going to be surprising you because I don't think that this is a B tier location. I originally put it there and then I was thinking about it more and I realized that there is a flaw that actually causes it to be F tier. Yes, it has similarities to the farmer's market and the hiking club and the gym in that we're focused on caring about our health, we're focused on just kind of living a better life, and that's great. Also, similar to the cooking class and the farmer's market, this is a very female-saturated place, so the ratio is amazing, to the point where if you look up a picture of yoga, the vast majority of them, if not all of them, are going to feature women. And you may be thinking, cool, well, cooking class and farmers markets are in S tier, why wouldn't this be higher up? And the secret comes in one of the things that makes the gym so rough, and that is the clothing that women wear in the yoga studio. When you are trying to stretch, things like that, you're wearing generally tight, form-fitting clothing, and it can be something that is quite revealing of their body. This makes it so there is automatically going to be this barrier to approaching a woman because there's going to be the thought, wait, are you approaching me for me? Or are you approaching me because of how I look in these clothes? Again, if this were a tier list for finding hookups, then this would be way higher on the list because there are definitely going to be some women who go, yeah, I want you to look at me. Yeah, I want you to approach me because of how my body looks. But when we're trying to develop a healthy, long-lasting relationship, then this isn't the best place. Additionally, similar to church, it is not a great place when it comes to connecting with other people. You're mainly focused on the instructor who is bringing you through these different things, and so yoga is just not a great place for approaching women. Am I saying that you as a guy should not go and do yoga? No, there are obviously many health benefits to yoga. But I would say that if you were going to approach anyone, you have to be kind of like a long-standing regular doing yoga before that happens so that you have that opportunity to have these small conversations in the middle, and so the regulars there are not going, wow, he's just here to like approach women and be a creep. But because it takes so long for you to be in there to do that, I just think that it is not a very good place to approach women, which is why I'm putting it in F tier. That brings us to the end of our video. And I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Were there any of these that I got totally wrong that are completely in the wrong spot? If so, let me know why. And if there are any of these that you go, oh my goodness, I've never thought of going there for the sake not only of approaching women, as I've said multiple times, but also to do that, then let me know. I'm really excited to hear from you guys. Also, if you want me to make another one of these videos, then I would love for you to throw me some suggestions in the comments of locations that you want me to put in the tier list for next time. Additionally, remember that if you are a shy young guy who is trying to develop his social skills and his dating game because you want to start going on dates with high quality feminine women, then go down to the link in the description and check out my school community so you can take advantage of my offer of getting on a free one-on-one call with me so we can get a better understanding of where you're at and to see if I can help you. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.